Well, welcome to The Line. This is a podcast sponsored by Blackline, where we are working to talk about and to lift the view of the skilled trades. And so we're talking with Josiah Toews here, and we are on location in Nashville, Tennessee. You and I have a little bit of a history together in the skilled trades, and we're going to talk about where you are today, how you got here, some of the things that you have brought from the skilled trades into what you do. And then we're going to talk about the real star, which is Nashville, and some of the things that are going on here in Nashville related to the skilled trades industry. So, Josiah, welcome to The Line.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us and those who are listening a little bit about your history, your origins, and how you currently, where do you work? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania originally. I moved down to Nashville in 2008, went to school down here, and then I started working in the music business. Right now I work for a company called Shelter Music Group, and I do artist management.
Okay.
So that whole entertainment world is kind of where I live right now.
Okay. It's a little different than your start, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot different in some ways, and it's similar in other ways.
Interesting.
Yeah, business has a lot of common themes across industries, I've found, but different too.
So just for those that are listening, and you don't need to say any names of the talent that you work with, but we talked a little bit offline. I'm pretty sure that most of the people that are listening would know most of the talent that you work with.
Potentially. Depends.
Yeah.
Depends how eclectic their taste is.
So tell us a little bit about, where you are, and let's kind of go backwards towards where you came from. So.
Sure. Yeah, so artist management is essentially taking care of the business side, representing the artist in the business of the music business.
Okay.
So they can kind of focus on the creative. So I've been doing that for several years now. Backing up before that, I was an intern at a record label. And then before that, I was in school. And that kind of helped me get the internship, which was the foot in the door. So I went to school for music business here at Belmont University in Nashville. And then actually while I was in school, between my freshman and sophomore year, I went back to Pennsylvania and I spent the summer there. I had a summer job at Legacy Electric, and that's how I got by financially when I was back in school. Money I had saved that I had made over the summer, and that got me through the school year. And through freshman year also, if you want to back up, since we're going backwards here.
Yeah.
Summer before I went to college, saved up my money doing work for Legacy. And so yeah, I don't remember how many years total I ended up working for Legacy, but it was a good thing. It was a fun thing. Financially, it was really helpful for me, especially as I was going off to college and saving up money. So yeah, it was a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So with that,
how far back do you want me to go?
No, I don't want you to go that far back. That would get interesting for our listeners here. So currently, you're working here in Nashville. Your wife has her own business, and you have family. You recently have a son. Congratulations!
Thank
It's
you.
a pretty big deal.
Thank you.
So, well, just kind of as we're talking about this here, tell us a little bit about what you did when you started in the skilled trades. How you got your start, what type of work were you doing, and maybe kind of let's reverse and flip around and go back to where we are now, kind of bring in some of those things that you maybe learned when you first got on the job.
Yeah, sure. So I think the first job that I did with Legacy was Millersville University, the dorms there. And let's see, yeah, we worked that summer. No air conditioning, and you don't have electrical put in the buildings yet. So it was hot and sweaty and fun. Yeah, I think the first thing we did there was we were putting something over smoke detectors for some reason. Maybe you could tell me why. I don't remember.
Well, I mean, I am older than you. My recollection is that they didn't want to affect the fire alarm system. It was an existing building, and they were doing renovations. So they wanted to make sure that the smoke detectors were covered, because if you get dust in them, when you re-energize the system and you make it active again, it'll just tell everybody to leave because it will go off, because it confuses smoke and dust as the same thing.
That makes sense. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first thing we did there, and then continued on that summer, and learned a lot about electrical that summer, and then we went on and did other projects there.
So let's just stop there a second.
Sure.
You talk about electrical specifically. I'm curious, I happen to know this, but I'm just asking for those who are listening. Your family has a deep-rooted history in specialty contracting and the electrical trade in particular.
Yeah, that's right. My grandfather, who was an immigrant, he came over through Ellis Island from the Ukraine, of German descent. He started Garden Spot Electric.
Okay.
And then my uncle ended up purchasing the company from him, and so it's kind of in the family. My dad was an electrician, and so yeah, there's definitely a family history there.
Well, and a couple of your uncles actually became electrical engineers through Penn State, correct?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So.
And I remember when I was going to go to college and deciding what to go to college for. That was kind of one of the things on the docket, but Dad flunked out of Penn State, so I don't think he had much room to speak on that. So I ended up doing what I wanted to do for college.
So I'm just curious, you bring up college, and that's something that we always talk about in the skilled trades. And one of the things that we want to talk about is the miseducation of if you don't go to college just because you can't hack it or you don't have that ability. You've been to college. You've also worked in the skilled trade. I'm curious what your take on that is, especially being in the music industry, and you've gone to college for that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you think about that?
Yeah, sure. So college is a good thing, but it's also a business. And, you have to understand that there's a marketing budget that schools have, and they want the public to feel like you have to go to college or you have to have a college degree to be successful in life. And that's marketing. That's not necessarily the truth.
Interesting.
And so, college is what you make of it. And so for me, it opened up some doors. I mentioned the internship earlier that led to a job, and that's a great thing. But it is a business, and I would say a good percentage of the people that I work with in the music business today didn't go to college.
Really?
And a good percentage of the people that I went to college with aren't using their college degree. So
Yeah.
take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. So what would be some of the things that you feel like you learned in the skilled trades industry that you use today in the music industry? Maybe none. I'm just curious.
No, there's definitely a lot of things. I think for one, just the value of hard work.
Yeah.
Again, it was fun. It's fun getting your hands dirty. I talked about the dirty, sweaty Millersville job. There's something about that, getting your hands, being active. A lot of times today I sit behind a desk, and so not everybody can do that. It's cut out for that, and so there's something special about getting physical, getting into the work, and you could call it hard work, but there's something satisfying at the end of the day about that. So think that was one of the things that I really took into, even though it is an office job that I do now, and sometimes I'm out traveling and different things, but there's a work ethic that comes with getting physical, getting your hands dirty, and then you can apply that to any area of your life. I mean, you mentioned I'm a dad.
Yeah.
You get your hands dirty a lot being a dad, I've found. So, that's there are life lessons that will continue on. I learned about working with a team and respecting authority, and at times being an authority, and figuring out how to do that in a way that doesn't upset everybody around you. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of dynamics that I've definitely taken from working at Legacy, working in that industry, that I think applies across a lot of industries. So certainly mine.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you say to someone who, there's a lot of stuff going on here in Nashville construction-wise. What would you say to someone that's driving down the road, they see someone along the road, excavating, working in a ditch, laying pipe or conduit or whatever it is, whatever infrastructure they're putting in, and they look at them and they're like, yeah, that's really not that important. We're actually sitting on one of the upper levels of a hotel here in Nashville, one of the high rises down here. I'm curious, not only that, but we're working with different products and things are working because of some of that work. I'm curious, what would you say, and what is your interpretation of someone why does that person have value similar to someone who maybe has a college degree or is working in a white collar sector? What is it that lifts the
Had a lot of small venues that kind of become well renowned, or whether it's the stadium, Nissan Stadium over there, that Taylor Swift played a few nights at. They're in buildings, they're in stadiums, they're in amphitheaters, and the bigger it is, the more that goes into it. But when you see semi-trucks after semi-trucks going up to that stadium preparing for a concert, you realize there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes from a lighting, electrical perspective. You see generators, all the things. To answer your question, it can't happen without skilled trades.
So I guess, and this is a pretty, I didn't tell you I was going to ask this, but this is pretty invasive, what I'm about to ask you. Maybe I'm saying that wrong, but, and you don't have to answer it, it's just, we'll judge you if you don't. So you have a son now.
Uh-huh.
And how old is he?
He just turned 1.
He just turned 1. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, afraid. What's your response?
Well, how old are we talking about? 3? 4?
18, 19, 20.
Sure. I would say that is a great idea, and you'll save your mom and I a lot of money. I think that's a great thing. I think the difficulty, just being honest, is that I think a lot of 18-year-olds don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's just a problem. And that's why, again, people go to college and they don't use their degrees. They spend tens of thousands of dollars, and they just don't know what they want to do yet. And so I think that, again, you talk about getting your hands dirty and getting some experience in the field. That's something that you can do without a college degree and see if this is for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to him at 18 years old. I would probably say, well, let's give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, we'll do something else.
Yeah. So you're just telling him to send it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And, but based on your experience and what you see, even you feel like that's something that he could actually earn a decent living and feel fulfilled in what he's doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, I think the question at that point is like, is that what you want to do? And again, unlike the music business where many, if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, it's like you don't really get to test it out very easily.
Yeah.
You can't just start going and playing lawyer or something. So I think that's, a cool opportunity. And I don't remember how old I was when I started working with you, but start them young. Get some exposure to some of these opportunities, and again, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even, I sit behind a desk now as well. But on the weekends, I love to work with my hands. I love to get my hands dirty. And that's one of the things that I think that my father told me that was a great piece of advice, was he said, learn a trade. And the other thing that's cool about it is I don't know that you ever stop learning a trade. Because especially in the industry that I was in, electrical, it's constantly changing. So kind of shifting gears here a little bit. So we're in Nashville. Nashville has one of the fastest growing job markets in the country right now. So how has that affected things here in Nashville since you've been here?
Yep.
So you came in 2008.
Yep.
Does this city landscape look different than when you got here before?
Well, from this vantage point, I don't think we had this vantage point before. This building wasn't here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it looks a lot different. It's really blown up, for sure. For better, for worse. Traffic's worse, that's for sure. But yeah, it's crazy how much the city has grown since I've been here. And it's funny because I talk to people that have been here for 5 years. It's crazy how much the city has blown up since I've been here. And then you talk to somebody that's been here for 10 years or 15 years, and it's the same story, but this city grows at an incredibly rapid pace.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, even here in the background while we're looking, I'm just seeing out of the corner of my eye 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cranes, and I know there's some cranes behind me. We were talking a little bit earlier, and you were talking about the rapid growth, and what was the app that you were talking about?
Yeah, no, there's a local newspaper. They put out something called Crane Watch, and you could get on their website, you could see a map of Nashville, and on the map there were all of these cranes, and you could click on the crane and see exactly what the project was and who was behind it, and it was really interesting. But what was the most fascinating thing was just pulling up the map and seeing all the cranes. It was like, oh my goodness, there are so many projects around this town right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really mind-blowing.
Do you feel like, and a lot of that, Nashville has kind of changed over that time too, even with music. It used to be well known as country music, but now it's just kind of music, like all music. Is that something that could have happened at the pace that it did and the way that it did without the skilled trades being able to come along and, like, we're sitting here on the 13th floor of a building that didn't exist when you came here?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the population growth here has been incredible. A lot of talented people from across the country have moved here to pursue a dream in the music business. And I think what Nashville has become, it all works together. Everything is kind of interwoven. And so as the city has expanded and provided more opportunities, more people have moved here and pursued the dream on the music side as well. So it's fascinating to watch. And you're right. It's not just country. I've worked in country, I work in rock, dabbled in pop a bit. So this city is not just old country Nashville anymore.
Yeah.
And not just that, but also, the music business used to be kind of the heart of the economy in a lot of ways, and it was what we were known for economically. And that's rapidly shifting too. I mean, this city is becoming bigger than just music, and that's always kind of in the background. A lot of opportunity outside of just music here, for sure. For sure. And a lot of need with all the building that's going on. I was reading before we started, actually, I need to put my glasses on because I'm old, but I was just reading about some of the statistics that are going on, and like the amount of money that Nashville is spending in construction right now is kind of insane. Currently, there's 191 high-rises and another 20 to be slated and approved to be built in the next 3 years. Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is.
Like, this skyline's going to look different in 3 years.
Yeah, we should do this again in 3 years.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And then also just the multifamily projects that are going on. It's a little insane, some of the projects that are going on. I mean, a $2 billion stadium, which is a little controversial, but, and then, like, I'm also just blown away at all the different things, like the Nashville Yards project that's going on, the Ritz-Carlton, some of these different things here in the Gulch, the Reed District. Like, I mean, everything that we're talking about here is millions, if not billions of dollars that is being invested into bringing these buildings into place, places for people to live, places for people to do life. And I think that's one of the things that I find really interesting in the construction trades industry is we don't realize that if we enjoy running water, if we enjoy flushing our toilet, turning the lights on, plugging our iPhone in, we really need these people. And one of the things that I know that we're dealing with is right now, and Blackline exists to lift the view of the skilled trades, because currently I don't know that a lot of people are really doing that. Now, I've said that to you. One of my favorite companies, and one of the reasons that Blackline got started is because of a company called BuildWitt, which is actually based right here in Nashville. Really cool company that just today I commented on one of their posts, Aaron Witt posted, talking about labor and talking about the people that do the work and how hard the work is and how we can't enjoy the life that we have without these people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious what your take on that is as you are living life here in Nashville?
Yeah, sure. No, it's so funny. We were just in Milwaukee for the weekend, Labor Day weekend, my family, and we were trying to get directions to go somewhere, and we pulled up maps, and the data coverage wasn't very good. And I remember when it was like that in Nashville, and you didn't always have reception where you went around the city. Now it's like super fast everywhere you go. And it's the infrastructure that people take for granted until it doesn't work. And it's incredible around here, the infrastructure that's been created, looking out over the skyline and seeing what's in place and what the city has become from an infrastructure standpoint. Data coverage is maybe seemingly not related to that, but at the same time, you don't have it, and all of a sudden, and but the opportunities that come as that is built, and what's happened in the city as the infrastructure continues to develop, it's pretty cool. And again, it affects the music business, but affects the economy as a whole, and all the people that are moving here, and it makes traffic worse, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things I think that's really interesting. We are trying to lift the view of the skilled trades because I don't think a lot of people realize the mass exodus of knowledge that is leaving the industry, that no one else is learning to be able to take care of this stuff. And it's unfortunate that we tend to, and I'm guilty of this as well, but we tend to not really care about things until they affect us directly.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, like you don't care until your toilet doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty frustrating.
That'll get your attention.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's easy to take those things for granted, but it's important. And also, the city's become beautiful. Like the building that we're in right now, it's a beautiful building, and you start to see these things, and guys like you and me, maybe we just appreciate it more, but you see how nice the conduit is as it runs across there, and how well laid out everything is. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it is a cool thing to see. I think that's just one of the things, being here in this city and talking with you about just how our society and our culture doesn't currently value or have a lifted view of the trades. Being here in Nashville and just like mentioning BuildWit to you, it's such a blessing that they have taken the initiative to talk about this. Now they focus mainly in what they would call the dirt world, but it's not just the dirt world. It's not just heavy civil. It's plumbing, it's infrastructure, it's electrical, it's HVAC, it's all of these things that really matter in order for us to live the lives that we so enjoy, and we take it for granted, and someday it won't be here. Like I mean, I already am dealing with, you call someone to fix something now, and you get put on a waiting list where I live.
Yeah.
So it's already becoming that, and we really need to bring to the attention that it's like, listen, this is a real industry. This is a real need. This is a real desire that we need to go after. And if we're promoting and we're allowing the marketing of others to say, hey, well, this has more value than this, when that's not the truth. I know many a person that works in the trades that they feel fulfilled in what they do. They make really good money. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is that without a college degree, you can't make good money. Mm-hmm. I mean, so you've made money in the trades, you've made money being in college, and you've been very blessed with your experiences. But would you say it's a true statement that if you don't have a degree, then you can't make money?
Yeah, no, again, even in my industry, it's like there's a huge percentage of people that didn't go to school.
So what would you say to young people working, or looking to start out their career? What would you encourage them to do and to go after?
I mean, that's a big question, but again, I think that if you can test some things out, get your hands dirty, I think that's a good way to go. If you have any inkling of the possibility, if you like working with your hands, if that's something that you feel like is a skill set of yours, or just something that would be fun to do, give it a shot. And again, in my case, like I ended up working in an office. And same with you. But would you take back like your time that you spent?
Absolutely not. Most days I miss it.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So you're never gonna screw anything up by learning a trade, getting your hands dirty, and seeing what happens.
I think probably the biggest thing is when you're young, it's like, give it a shot. What have you got to lose?
Sure.
I mean, the last time that somebody said that to me, I started a company, and expect the lights to be on. And where I live, sometimes there's a storm or something and there's a power outage. And if I'm being really honest, I'm a little intolerable until the power comes back on.
Yeah.
I'm like, why does it take so long?
Yeah.
And I don't think as a society we have any idea what it takes for that to happen. And so I just come back to this washing dishes and work ethic conversation. Do you think, whatever the industry, that conversation of someone showing appreciation for the work that you do, is that something that's lacking?
100%. But I'll tell you, it's, maybe this is off topic, but it's not just business.
Yeah.
I think it's humanity to some extent.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think working for Legacy, working with you, I think that was a different experience, to be honest. But people need to feel appreciated.
So how do you do that in your industry now? You work with different people. Is that something that you continue to take on and share that appreciation with people? Because I would say it sounds like that's something that's stuck with you for a little while here. And that's something that as a society we neglect and we don't do. Are you continuing to pay it forward in that way where you work now?
Well, you do
Putting
your best.
you on the spot, by the way.
Yeah, no, you do your best. I'll toot my own horn for a minute. I have a gift card in the car for someone that I work with because they covered for me when I was out of the office the other day, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
And so I bought them a gift card for some coffee. Small thing, but I think sometimes it is the small things.
100% I agree.
And you said, all it was from you, you didn't get me a gift card.
No, I didn't.
You just said, hey, I really appreciate that. And, a few sentences or whatever it was, it stuck with me for years.
Yeah.
And people don't understand the power of their words. And in the workplace, especially, that appreciation goes a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, Josiah, I really appreciate just having this conversation and talking with you. As we close here, we're in Nashville, all these cranes behind us, all this construction going on, all of this stuff, all of this infrastructure and these things going on. What is it that we can leave with here in talking with you? You're experiencing some success in the music industry. Can you tell me one or two things that you feel like, and you articulated this somewhat in talking about appreciation, but in getting your hands dirty and working in the trades, one or two things that has really propelled you and helped you in life moving forward in what you're doing now, that you would encourage people to go after in life?
Yeah. So many experiences that I had that I carry with me, a lot of them were honestly like fun memories. And like, for instance, working as a team.
Yeah.
When you're out on a job site, you're, whether it's, working, doing in the dirt world, or whether it's doing electrical work or running cable, you're out there a lot of times outside, and you're with people that end up becoming your friends, and you ultimately end up spending time with your friends while you're working. Yeah. And when you do that, there's a camaraderie that happens, even if it is a little hot and sweaty, and then all of a sudden you start figuring out how to work together to get the mission done, to get the job done. And I think there's something really fun and special about that. I don't even know if fun is the right word, but like gratifying.
Yeah.
But that camaraderie, and I don't think you get that necessarily in all industries, but the lessons that you learn working as a team, that is going to be something that will stick with you. I think, again, in and outside of a business. Talking about raising a family with a spouse.
Yeah.
But so I think that was one big thing, teamwork, for sure, that I learned, that I carry with me. I guess we talked about work ethic, but that really can't be overstated enough.
Yeah.
I think again, being available, being willing to do whatever comes up and being creative. Again, I think that's a misconception too, is the creativity that comes along with some of these skilled, positions. So like, I'm sure, you tell me, what's a good story of when you had to be creative on the job site?
I remember being in situations in the dark when we needed to have power for certain things, because I was involved in some media voltage work and things like that, and figuring out how to do things as a team and also how to do things as yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be done. The work had to be done. And so, one of the biggest things that I had to be creative in figuring out how to do things was just how to make do when I didn't have what I needed, and how we could work together as a team to figure out the solution. If I'm being honest, and I'm not just trying to be nice when I say this to other people, but the fact of the matter is I could never figure things out by myself like I could when I worked together with a group of people and we collaborated and we brought our thoughts together and were able to then come up with a solution. Currently in our organization, we like to say that we are a solutions-based organization. And we say that we find solutions, not problems. There's always a problem. We don't get phone calls for work or infrastructure or an emergency service call or things like that unless there is an issue. And then the issue is, how quickly do we fix that to provide a service to the client? If you lose power in your house or something's not working, you want it fixed as quickly as possible. And so the creative solutions that I have come up with over the years, the best ones, have come through collaboration.
Yep.
Talking with other people, working with people, and also just refusing to say, well, this can't be done. In construction and in the trades industry, that's something that many people think, but only those who say, well, let's figure out a solution, are the ones that are still in business. People don't call you because you say, yeah, we can't do it.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt has a famous quote: someone asks you to do a job, you tell them that you can do it, and then go figure out how to do it. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's like, so someone's like, hey, can you do this? Absolutely, let's figure out how to do it. And the best way that I've learned to do that is to bring everybody into a room and be like, let's figure this out. Let's figure this solution out. We even dealt with some of that here tonight and just figuring out how to make this podcast come out.
Sure.
So for me, it would be collaboration and teamwork.
Yeah.
And refusing to give up. Blackline exists to lift the view of the skilled trades, and our core values are honesty, excellence, and grit. And so honesty is something that I've talked about a lot lately, where it's like, I believe that honesty is not necessarily transparency. Honesty is when you talk with someone and you don't hide anything from them. I believe that excellence is very different than perfection. For me, it's excellence versus perfection. Perfection is something that is not attainable.
Sure.
It's not possible. But excellence is how you react and what you do when things go wrong. The way that you respond and how you go after the work, that's excellence. And so personally, for me, team members, I don't want perfection, because I believe perfection is a lie. I don't know anything, even when we look at this city, I don't know anything that I see that is perfect.
Sure.
But excellence is what you strive for. And when you strive for that, you're continually pushing towards what's better. And then lastly, grit, which is really simple. Grit is just something that we don't give up. We don't quit. We venture onward. We go after what is next, and we just tenaciously and intensely have that work ethic to say, how do we figure this out? What do we do? Because there really is no other option. When the line crews are working and there's been a hurricane or a major storm or something like that, and there's a hospital that needs power, they can't be like, we really can't figure it out. Who are you going to call? They are who you call. Like, there is no one else to call, and they have to figure it out. And I think that our society does not realize what is involved in figuring that out. Like, we're like, oh, well, the power's back on, that's great. But we don't think about what's involved, and not only what's involved, but the fact that It's raining, it's snowing, it's like, it's cold, it's hot, whatever it is. And these men and women are out there doing this work so that we can live our lives in luxury or comfort. We just really miss it in that regard. So all of that to say, those are the things that we are going after at Blackline. We have 3 divisions. We are a vertically integrated company where we are going after, Blackline Built is a creative service division of our company that is all about telling the story of the skilled trades. Because a lot of people don't even know what it is that these men and women do that makes it so that they can listen to their music, so that they can watch their TV, and so that their internet works. Like if it wasn't for the skilled trades, the data would not have gotten better in Nashville. Point blank. It's just a fact. We have a design division that they focus on creating better designs, which is involving the tradesmen that are working in the field in the design. Because our designers that currently work in that, they get stuck in a 2-dimensional view and they don't have the knowledge that the tradesman that does the work has. And I'm sorry, any architect or engineer that says they do, it's a load of crap. They do not have the knowledge that a skilled tradesman has, that has been in the field, that has done the work, that knows how it works. And I can say that because I've made that assumption myself, and I have been taught through painful agony that I don't know as well as the guy that is doing the work in the field. And thirdly, Blackline has the Blackline Institute, which is all about training up the next generation. We currently have people leaving the industry in a record and alarming rate. And that knowledge is leaving the industry and it is disappearing. It is leaving and never to come back. And so the Blackline Institute exists just like BuildWid training exists to teach people about the dirt world. We exist to teach people about the trades. And not just the trades, but to teach them about how to do work the way that you talked about. To have work ethic, to be more than just a good electrician, a good plumber, a good HVAC technician, but how to be a good tradesman, tradesperson. How to be able to do those things in a way that when they're the one that needs to come up with a solution and there's nobody else there, that they can come up with a solution. And that's good for your family, it's good for my family, it's good for all of the people that live in this city. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that we too often just continue to exist and consume and not realize that these men and women that do this work, that we don't even notice that are there, they're the ones that make it that we can live life, that we can listen to the music, that you can do the things that you do because of the work that they do. And the fact of the matter is most people couldn't do what they do. It's Labor Day 2023 and we're here having this conversation. And I am so struck by the fact that as a society, we do not honor these people in a way that they deserve to be honored. And that is why Blackline wants to partner and make a difference like BuildWid is doing. In the dirt world, we want to make a difference in the trades world. And so we exist to lift up the view of those tradespeople. And so I think that's something that's really important because I have children. And if we don't do something about it now, a day is going to come when the lights don't work, when the toilets don't flush, and when you can't charge your iPhone. And there will be no one to call if we don't work on communicating this knowledge to the next generation. And so, I've been challenged by Aaron Witt, and he doesn't even know who I am, but I've been challenged by him in listening to his podcasts and what he's doing, and it's just, I'm only talking about that because we're here in Nashville, because the fact of the matter is these people matter. These are the people that make it that we can do life. And they really matter. And you started out as one of those individuals. And because of what you learned in the trade, I would even go as far back as to your grandfather who came here and immigrated here, came through Ellis Island, and he started his own business, built it up. He not only made it that we could live and we can enjoy the lives that we live, but he made it that you could live the life that you live. He provided for his family. He provided, his legacy lives on long after he is dead in what he has woven into the lives that those that his company has impacted, those that work there that he's provided for, those that enjoy the things that, like, I happen to know that company has done major infrastructure projects. There are major cities up and down the East Coast that they have done work for, that the reason you can flush your toilet, literally, and still have clean water is because of the work that they did. And no one honors that. And that is why the line is here. Because we want to call people to step up to the line. We want to call people to recognize and acknowledge these tradespeople who have done this work, that we can live the lives that we live. So.
Well said. Well said.
Sorry, I get a little bit on my soapbox here because I see these men and women every day, and they need to be acknowledged just like the artists that you work for need to be acknowledged.
Sure.
And I think it's a big deal.
Yeah. No, well said, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Josiah, as we close here this evening here in Nashville, great city, lots of stuff going on here. What are just a statement that you would leave us with as we go from here this Labor Day in 2023?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, working for Legacy specifically, I'll just say this, in working with you, I learned a lot about integrity. And I think that that's something I'll just say to you as we sign off here, I really appreciate. I remember one time we were, this was going back even further.
Be careful what you say.
Okay. But I remember one time we were on a team, we were carrying some drywall up it was a church that we were doing. And we were carrying some drywall up, and somebody banged the drywall that we were carrying up the stairs into the overhang that was coming down, and they busted out a piece of it.
Yeah.
And there was an older gentleman there that was a little older and a little angrier, and he was not thrilled with the mistake that this individual had made with the drywall by not being careful. And they were ready to kind of lash out at them a little bit, and you jumped in and you said, hey, that's my fault. And you took responsibility for something that wasn't really your fault, but you kind of said, hey, the buck stops with me. And that was something that meant a lot to me, and that was, I don't know how many years ago now, but it always stuck with me as, we talk about integrity, we talk about leadership, we talk about responsibility, and all of those things in that one moment. But that one moment even was just, I think, an example of who you are in business, in working for Legacy, in working for you, that I really appreciate being exposed to and learning from. And again, as I take that into my professional career, I really appreciate that.
Very kind words. I appreciate that. I'd love to say, in addition to that you were one of the best employees that I've ever worked with, but that would not be true. So,
good night.
Yeah. Well, Josiah, we really appreciate you being here with us tonight and just having this conversation. Again, we want to elevate and lift up the view of the skilled trades, and I believe that you've been a part of that discussion tonight in a positive way. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So thank you all for joining the line. We are greatly appreciative of you listening, and just stick around for next time.